Salutations from space and aloha from Earth, friends. Gemini here on Jupiter's day. With Pisces on the rise where I sit in Richmond, California, it is currently 4:47 p.m. Last degree of Pisces rising for me, anyway. And it's Thursday, Wave Ace, Jupiter's day. So let's talk about Jupiter a bit. He is very close to Earth right now. This is what it means when Jupiter is retrograde. Jupiter goes retrograde just for the same reason that cars apparently retrograde when you're passing them by on the highway. Earth is currently passing Jupiter. We are the faster car, right? And so as we pass Jupiter by on this great chariot racetrack, right, this is the closest that Earth gets to Jupiter. And there's particular cycles, particular signs where we are as close as we can get. But regardless, for this particular cycle, when Sun opposes Jupiter, and that will be next week. Let me get that day for you. Sun opposite Jupiter is November 2nd, 2023, 10 p.m. Pacific. So we'll be November 3rd for some of you. We'll be November 3rd, where my beloved Scorpiana was born in Romania on November 3rd, some years ago. And that will be at 10.5 degrees Taurus. So retrograde Jupiter, 10.5 Taurus, opposite Sun at that time. This is Jupiter's perigee, close to Earth. So hopefully you've been digging Jupiter in the morning sky, like before sunrise, or in the evening sky after sunset. It's at this time of Sun-Jupiter opposition when Jupiter transitions from the evening star side to the morning star side. But it's like in this whole time, you can see Jupiter after sunset just beaming, rising in the northeast. You can see Jupiter before sunrise, about to set in the northwest, and Jupiter's just been amazing. It's been like Orion and the Hyades, the face of the bull, and the Pleiades, and then Jupiter's been kind of cradled by the constellation of the Ram, stars from the Ram constellation, from the sea monster on the other side. It's been something I've never seen before, and it's like beautiful. So of course, I'm always encouraging folks to get outside, eyes to the sky, to connect sentiently. What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you see? What birds sing a song to you to celebrate your coming to nature, etc. And Jupiter is in Taurus, right? Tropical anyway. So it's a great reminder to be in the body, be out in nature. And Jupiter in Taurus, I love, there's a statement here, which is beauty is a spiritual practice. So Sun will oppose Jupiter on November 2nd, November 3rd, depending on your time zone, according to the weird clock thing that we do these days. But now it's Jupiter and Mars. So Mars will perfect his opposition to Jupiter from Scorpio on Saturn's day, October 28th at 9:03 a.m. I will actually be teaching a class at that time, which is $7 or more to enter. If you'd like to join, head over to geminibrett.com/birthday and donate $7 or more, and I'll send you recordings from the classes I did last week on solar return Earth astrology practices, and some interesting, solar return entanglements like tropical versus sidereal, precessing tropical solar returns, natal radix location versus relocated solar returns, etc. And I also speak about many of the techniques, timing techniques that I always utilize. Like if I'm hired for a solar return reading, I'm also looking at circumambulations, primary directions, profections, annually, monthly, daily, secondary progressions, solar arc directions. Just trying to see if I can get the same story from many different places. It gives you a lot of confidence in it. Anyway, this Saturday on October 28th, I'll be speaking about synodic return years. Like I just turned 48 a couple of days ago. All the eights are Venus return years. 47 before that, Mars. 46 is Mercury. They're really cool to see. And I'll also be talking about the annual transits of the planetary nodes. So what is a planetary node? What do they do energetically? But I've heard this class, maybe even more importantly, from the measurable side of the heavenly happenings, which is called astronomy, right? And why, since they're on an annual course, these synodic returns of the planets are maybe even more significant. That they, like I'm looking at Venus basically right in the stars where Venus was when I was born, and there's something to that. I'm tired. As a result, I've been up every morning just drinking Venus. But anyway, today's Jupiter's day, and I wanted to speak a bit about, with this coming Mars-Jupiter opposition, it's very much in the chart right now. They are about less than 1.5 degrees away from perfecting this opposition. And just some client work recently for the last weeks has me often kind of speaking about Pandora's box. We're in eclipse season, right? Like things are tricky. And Libra solar eclipse followed by a Taurus lunar eclipse. There's a lot of Venus in this. Venus in Virgo right now. There's questions of purity, reclaiming our virginity, which I don't mean is only done through celibacy at all. How are we independent, And there's questions of like power, in this weird world where we come and incarnate this place of the powers of the heart and the body. Like all this is really alive right now. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us are moving through significant times of challenge that can be accompanied by significant cycling and ups and downs and melancholy and depressions. And I know I'm not alone in that. And hope has been a really important word. That's been a consistent word in client sessions recently. It's just like reading people's intentions that they wrote when they booked in. Like I just feel like I can't find hope. That's amazing. Like literally, that has been stated specifically by, I don't know, a score of people over the last couple of weeks or something. And I'm feeling it, like I hear you. One of the little fun astrological keys is look for where Jupiter lives in your chart, because Jupiter can be a symbol for hope. By the way, so can the 11th house, which is traditionally where Jupiter is said to rejoice. Hopes, dreams, right? And gosh, in times where it's hard to survive from a financial point of view, and all of this recession, things are changing, turning on the news and just seeing how much pain there is in the world at this time of war. Has there ever been a time that wasn't? Where's peace? What's the point of it? Like, we can feel quite hopeless. So why I want to speak about Pandora's box on this Thursday and this Jupiter's day is because it's, that's said to be something that Jupiter created, in the sense to punish Prometheus and to punish us, right? He sent Prometheus to create us after Jupiter had wiped the previous version of human from the earth. And Prometheus, who really loved humanity, was sent to come create us. And it said that Prometheus did this out of clay, and that he made us in the image of the gods, the guides and the guidesses, if you prefer. Which, let's just stop there. Doesn't this mean that we are moldable, right? Doesn't this mean that we ourselves are creator? And to really emphasize that in the tale from this Greek tradition, Prometheus stole fire for us, right? I mean, it was already ours and it was taken away. It was this weird thing where in the story, Jupiter smells this sweet meat that's being cooked here on Earth by this new level of humanity. And he wants some of that, right? And you, I imagine, know the story that Prometheus played this trick where he put in one bag like the good meat, and in another bag like bones and the fat, But in the bag of the bones and the fat, he put some really nice meat on the top, and in the bag of the good meat, he put the bones and the fat on top, and said, Jupiter, you choose which one's for you. And that Jupiter chose the one with the good stuff, but that was, of course, just covering the bones and the fat, right? And so it's said ever since then that leaving the offering, right, for the gods at the dinner table as you leave the bones and the fat, right? So anyway, Jupiter's like irate about this, and he creates not only Pandora, but Pandora's box, right? Who Epimetheus, who is Prometheus's brother. Now, Prometheus means foresight, and Epimetheus means hindsight, right? And so Pandora was sent to Epimetheus. Prometheus had told his brother, "Don't take any gifts from Jupiter, from Zeus," but he did. And Pandora's box, interestingly, kind of like this Promethean trick where there's good meat covering the bones and the fat, or really actually the bones and the fat covering the good meat. Sorry for you vegetarian vegans out there, didn't write the story. All right, I didn't write the story. That's how it was with Pandora's box. It wasn't just Jupiter. Like, so many of the forces came in and put just terror and pain and sadness and all of these things in Pandora's box, knowing that Epimetheus would open this and unleash it on this new version of humanity who had just been created by Prometheus. And it said all of this because Jupiter is like angry about this meat trick, right? Importantly, Jupiter, Zeus, put hope in the bottom of this box. And that's why, it's kind of similar to that bag of meat that was covered in the bones and the fat, There's other amazing kind of corresponding tales from other lands. One that comes to mind is the story of the Amrita, and how when the Devas asked Brahma how they could attain immortality, they were told that they would have to team up with the Asuras and churn the milk ocean, and the Amrita would come forth. This is a very wonderful, powerful story in so many regards, including it is an eclipse story. And it's a story of the spinning earth, which is always half in light and half in shadow, for you have the forces of light, Devas, and the forces of shadow, Asuras, on the two sides of this pulling this serpent rope to churn the ocean. Anyway, why it comes to mind now is, and this is true, when we churn the subconscious, the first thing that comes up is our poisons, right? Like the shadow. And all of these gifts as well, right? But it tends to be that we have to get through the furies before we can find that elixir of immortality. And is hope not that? Or faith? Pisces is no longer rising where I am. Aries is. Maybe you're hearing that with the Scorpio Mars. But Pisces is still rising for some of you. I'm looking at you, Hawaii. Let's talk about faith. Let's talk about hope. Yeah, I mean, especially in these really terrible, challenging times. Yeah, I mean, as I feel Hawaii and feel Maui, it's just this way from where I sit here in the Bay Area of California. I mean, I know the mountain peak over here that just points to Maui. Yeah, and these just terrifying times, and these times where it feels like we'll never get the ground back from beneath our feet. So much death and pain. How can that be in this world? Why even incarnate into a place with such struggle? And it feels that it is about hope, So that seems ridiculous. So why not just come to a place where it's always bright and shiny? Like, wouldn't that be hope? Wouldn't that be faith? And I think the answer is no. Like, musicians know this quite well. I mean, imagine if there was only the major chord. Would it sound happy if we didn't have anything to compare it against? And more importantly, like, we resolve to that place, right? In music, we intentionally construct tension so that we can resolve. And for me, the story of Pandora's box, it is that. It's like, oh, you want hope? Cool. Well, let me give it to you. It looks like all of this hardship. Because when you're on the other side of that, like once you've gone through that, once you've learned you can't run away from that tidal wave, but instead you're called to like dive through it if you seek the tranquil waters that live on the other side. And once you find that place of peace, you'll know that it could only be found because of the struggle. I mean, I want to say importantly, especially with where Mars is right now, though he's just left his face the first 10 degrees of Scorpio and moved into the second. If you speak Tarot, from the 5 of Cups to the 6 of Cups, and the sun will soon go. But I think it's important that we do not, in honoring the truth that sometimes our greatest catalyst for awakening was nightmare, not dream, and that, we have grown so much through some of the painful times, because truly here, we grow through what we go through. But this does not necessitate a paradigm of no pain, no gain. That's really important. So I don't want to like lay that trip on us here. I do think it's important for us not to avoid our shadow work. But I also feel like sometimes the like spiritual bypass preaching camp is sometimes bypassing on the opportunity to grow through bliss, which is also very important. And with Jupiter and Taurus now, like sensuality can be a really beautiful thing. But I also feel and know and experience that when we offer gratitude to the hard times that we've gone through, what we're going through, and respect that opportunity that they give us to grow and to evolve, that seems to be part of what this place is about. And it's part of how we can learn to hear peace. Right? I mean, like there's no word called peace if there's not the other side of that. Do you feel me? There's no up if there's not down. And this kind of polarity play, which is essential to any incarnational place, in the middle way, that polarity is also highly encouraged over time, is really important. But I'll say this, I think about in the Scorpio Taurus realms, like maybe the middle place would look a lot less chaotic than one of the extremes, and a lot less simple than the other extreme. But we want to make sure that we don't limit ourselves from going through the tides and have the ups and downs. Like they're so important to a life of experience, especially when it comes to the magic of the heart and the body mind. Um, anyway, I'm not sure if I'm saying this clearly. I'm certainly not saying it concisely. Brevity is just not my specialty, dude. But I just want to say that I've often been reminded recently, and very gratefully so, that in the bottom of Pandora's box was put hope. And I don't think it was buried under this other stuff. I think it's actually created of this other stuff. So it's good for us to pray for peace and ease and love and overstanding and this, but also to understand that sometimes the route to those tranquil waters is the dive through the tidal wave. And I think if we can do that with a smile on our face, it's easier to find our way there, and easier said than done. I mean, I'm kind of mid-dive right now. How's it going for you? How are you feeling in this eclipse season? And let me end with where I began. I think it's a really beautiful thing to get outside right now, especially before sunrise. And you can just feel Jupiter and Venus. They're like at the same altitude and just beautiful on other sides of the sky. And feel their connection. They're trine-ish still right now. And just like be between those benefic lights and send a ray of love and hope for all of us that we can connect to, and blessings of appreciation for the challenges of incarnation. Thanks for spending some time. See you in space, y'all.